Hello and welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I am Elvis, your host, and I'm here to let you know that this is a not safe for work podcast. We are teachers at the end of the week and really the end of our ropes, and because we love our jobs and want to keep them, we're going to be using pseudonyms so we can talk honestly and openly about what we're doing, hence the Elvis. First thing I'd like to do is give a special shout out to all of our Patreon patrons out there. Here we go. JJ O, Brian S, Jeff S, Shirley K, Abby B, Ann T, Sarah B, Regina B, Anna L, Josie S, Sam B, India G, Lucy P, Mary E, Jamie B, Hope H, Aaron D, Kristen W, Vanessa J, Kate C, Mary C, Haley M, Barry N, Rylan L, Catherine S, Perla C, Kelsey W, RJR, Cara T, Kristen C, Johanna H, Tony and Christina K, Irma A, Rebecca J, Melissa M, KCB, and Sarah N. Thank you guys so much. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Lud Lamb Dramatics. If you are a theater teacher or an ELA teacher, or language arts teacher, really any kind of teacher who's strung into doing a play, go to ludlambdramatics.com and check out their resources. They have some amazing things to help you, because in case you didn't know, there's really not much in the teacher store for theater-related stuff, so you go to Ludlam Dramatics right now and buy all their stuff, because they will help you and help your students, and it will be amazing. Teacher Needs a Drink podcast comes out every Wednesday, whether you like it or not. And also, if you have something you would like to share, bring up, discuss with us, you can either A, pass it on through the Patreon, or you can hit us up on the contact page of our website, teacherneedsadrinkpodcast.com. Last thing, if you really want to help us out, please take a chance, leave a review, leave some stars, just tell the world how much you like it. Really, honestly, the best thing you can do, find one person in your building and just tell them something you heard on this podcast today, and just help spread the word one little person at a time. Okay, my friends, one last thing. I am actually re-recording this introduction for the second time because I uploaded this because it's going to go out in just a few hours. However, right after I had it all finalized, ready to go, the Biden administration put an update that they wanted all teachers to be vaccinated, or their goal was to have all teachers vaccinated by the end of March. So hooray! So when we're talking about that on the podcast, we hadn't actually heard that information yet. We were just kind of pissed off because, we're at the middle of the line. But now it looks like teachers are going to be put to the front of the line now that a lot of the elderly have been vaccinated. So enjoy our new episode with some good news and take what we say with a grain of salt. Episode 74. Enjoy!
Tremendous amounts of heartburn and gas, so if I mute randomly, it's because I'm burping.
Yes,
That's
burping from your butthole.
No, it's not like that.
Ew. Rear end burps.
Rear end burps.
And welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I am Elvis, your host. I'd like to welcome my guest today. With us today is Miss Lucille Lane.
Hey, y'all.
And also joining us is Miss Buddy O'Hare.
Hi, Elvis. Hey, folks.
And also returning the married Miss Sparkles.
Hello, dear listeners.
And after a brief absence, we have back Miss Shirley Temper.
I've only ever said I love you to two men in my entire life. Stone Cold Steve Austin and a guy in a dart club who I mistook for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
All right, my friends. Well, it is March now, and it is almost spring break. And it's crazy because it's almost like a year since this whole pandemic lockdown thing has already since started and went off. And what's kind of blowing my mind is since we're in Texas and they kind of forced everything open early, and now I see a lot of teachers online who are just now going back or scared about going back or they're about to open up. I feel like we were like the test subjects for everything, for what's going to work. But after reading a lot of these articles, like on Reddit and from emails teachers get us, I feel like no one's looked to learn lessons from what our stupid state has done, like what works and what doesn't work. They're like, no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. Like, they're expecting us to teach and be online at the same time to the in-person kids. Like, yeah, we've been doing it. It doesn't work.
Well, to be fair, when your toothless cousin is like, hey, hold my beer and watch this, and then does something stupid, you don't necessarily look to them for advice.
We do have spring break, and I was like, okay, well, that's like a week or two away. What can I do? Nothing. I'm not going to go anywhere. Like, if I could travel, I would. But number one, it's fucking cold in the places I'd want to go. Number two, there's still a pandemic going on. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm at the point now where I probably could catch it again. And there's no way in hell I want to spend 2 or 3 weeks knocked on my ass. And from a lot of people I've met, the second go round tends to be a bit worse, and I can't imagine being worse. I don't want to go to a hospital. I don't want to put my life in danger, even now. So I'm crossing my fingers and hoping to get my vaccination, but I am number 171,000, and right now they're on 83,000. So I got a little bit of time before they get to me, but it sounds like they're ramping up. But that snowstorm they had really just kind of put the brakes on.
But I can't even get on a list, man. Like, my parents aren't even old. Like, my parents can't even get it.
Oh, yeah. My dad lives in Virginia, and he is 63. So he can't get it because he's not over 65, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But the Johnson & Johnson 1-dose vaccine was just approved this week. And I feel like that's going to go a long way to making this vaccine rollout go a lot quicker because you only need one shot.
But I heard Dallas County is getting a shipment in the next week or two, and I'm really impressed. They're targeting the use of the Johnson & Johnson one towards people who are homeless or incarcerated, people who might not be likely to come back for a second shot. And I'm like, oh, wow, they're using their brains here. They're not just giving it. And also they're rolling out a new kind of spare list or hotline number so that if they come to the end of the day and people didn't show up or they got their shot somewhere else, even though they had an appointment, that they will just like find an arm to put it in someone. And I think that's great. I'm excited that I feel like they're prioritizing it. They're pushing in the right direction. So I'm excited about that. However, I am baffled that teachers still aren't on the list as far as a priority. It's kind of almost a luck thing if a teacher gets it or they have a pre-existing condition. And that's just fucking wrong because they're opening up the schools. They want us to be there, but they don't want us to get the vaccination because we're not important to us. How critical is education where we have to be open, but the teachers aren't forced to be there? It's bullshit. And that's across the board, almost nationwide. Not nationwide, but almost nationwide. And it blows my fucking mind.
Oh, absolutely. I think that, are we keeping into the count of all the, kids that might have some pre-existing conditions or, their families that might have it? I mean, if we're sick and we pass it along, they're getting it too. So it would just be very smart just to stop it in certain places, like bringing it in from the teachers.
Yeah, schools seem to be a very easy place to stop transmission if you actually wanted to.
The thing about school is it can be a very controlled environment and you can totally have school and probably not have very high rates of transmission. The problem is that when the kids leave school, they do dumb shit like go to parties, they hang out in each other's cars.
Go to sports practice.
Without masks on. They're doing a lot of stuff without masks on. They go to family functions without masks on because everybody's like, we're related. We couldn't possibly spread COVID to each other. And then the next thing you know, Aunt Sally is dead because we had to have a get together for little Billy's birthday. Right?
Well, what was she wearing? Was she asking for it? Because that's my first question.
I mean, it was that gold jacket, so she probably was.
She was showing a little too much nostril. She had it coming.
Too much ankle.
But that is the problem. It's not even necessarily that although some schools are really stupid about the way they're doing this and they're not requiring masks and they're not requiring social distancing, which I think is idiotic. It's that we can't control what they do outside of school. And so keeping schools closed helps mitigate the shit that we don't have control over. But having it open is just shoulder shrug. Oh, well.
Tagging on to what Sparkles was saying, the big outbreak that we had at my campus back in November was pretty much traceable back to a student who had a big party at their house over the weekend.
Oh,
and
man.
Half the 8th grade went to this party, apparently. And, of course, they were not distancing. And, of course, they were not wearing masks. And then the girl that threw the party ended up testing positive. And so everybody that was then at the party was a close contact of somebody who was it was a mess.
My dudes, I have something from the Reddits from Buzz City Zero. Is there literally any point to group work? Most students seem to despise it. I'm still a new teacher, 3rd year figuring things out. When I was getting my degree, they taught us to shift away from lessons that are heavy on direct instruction and move towards group work, collaboration. Sounds fine, and I, of course, tried it. But the problem is most students seem to not like group work. Every time I try it, I always run into problems of, Mr. Buzz City Zero, can you move me because blank and I don't get along well, or complaints that one student is having to do all the work. I'm not dumb. I know this happens. I mean, I get it. When these kids get jobs or go to college, they're going to have to work with people they may not know very well. But just the process of putting them in groups seems agonizing, and very rarely do students ever actually seem to be excited when I tell them about group work. Of course, this year I haven't done group work because of COVID protocols. This year has been more direct instruction because I don't really have any other options. But I've gotten a lot of comments from this year from students saying they almost prefer it that way. Taking notes, knocking out independent work, you can still find and create assignments that allow them to be creative. I'm not saying we just take notes and then assign busy work, but I'm using things like Peer Deck and Nearpod to fuel classroom discussion through the direct instruction. I'm just sitting here wondering if I should ever do group work again post-COVID. Admin pushes for it, and sure, maybe research says it has its benefits, but I'm just not sure what the point is if the students hate it so much.
I get it. And I understand because I've seen the groups where like two people just do nothing and one person ends up doing all the work. But the way, I don't know, I teach theater a lot of the time. And so I'll literally just assign jobs for the group and like, hey, there's 4 people in the group. There's 4 things that need to be done. One person needs to do task A, task B, task C, task D, and then work on it together. That way, if someone drops the ball or doesn't do their part, you kind of know who it is and you can not just slam the whole group for it. But I think group work's essential. I really do. I get in COVID, you can't do it that much, but people need to work together and they need to learn how to get along together. And they do need to learn to deal with people who just fucking suck and drop the ball because it happens in real life. If everyone just kind of does their own thing, we kind of lose a lot of empathy that I think we're already, not empathy, maybe that's not the right word. I feel like we lose the ability to communicate because we're just hiding anonymously behind walls online. And I think doing group work kind of, helps bond people and helps get them together. Miss Shirley?
I hate group work. I've hated it my whole life. I am a very independent person. I do my best work when I'm working independently. But having said that, sure, there is a time and a place. You can't, no person is an island. You can't always do everything by yourself. I think if I was teaching remotely, all online, then obviously my opinion on it might change. But honestly, anytime I do group work, there's always that one kid that either refuses to do something or brings the rest of the group work down. And it's a little disheartening. I really hate the push that admin does towards group work. I think it can be beneficial, but it feels archaic in some ways. I think it also depends on your subject and the class, like the class size and the subject that you teach.
I think there's some balance to be had there. Like I was not a fan of group work, but I think it does teach skills. I mean, like you were saying, that's what I tell the kids. Like at some point in your future, you're going to be working with people. Like when you get your first job, the boss isn't going to come to you and say, who do you want to work with on your shift? They're just going to assign you and you've got to figure out a way to make it work. So I feel like learning those skills, learning how to get stuff done early is a good thing. But I also definitely remember being in school and being the only person in the group actually doing the work. So I can see both sides of it. I think it's one of those pendulum things, like, for a long time in education, everything was, individual work and just sit at your desk and do the worksheet and turn it in kind of thing. And then it swung to everything needs to be collaborative and everything needs to be group work and, all groups all the time. And I think there's some balance. I think we can come back toward the middle a little bit and have both.
I think it's important to make sure also that if you do group work, you need to, have the groups vary from time to time. There's always the poor nice kid who's always stuck with the asshole kid because they're the only one who will tolerate them and work with them. So no matter what, they're kind of punished for being a nice person. And
I'm an asshole.
Yeah, we know.
So I have this rule in non-COVID times where I alternate. So it'll be like this unit's big project is an individual project. The next unit is a group project, and I'm going to pick the groups. And then you're going to work by yourself, and then you're going to do a group project, and you pick the groups. And I think it's like Bunny said, like you have to have a balance because they do have to learn to work with other people. Like my little sister, who is not a teacher, was telling me about this girl that she was working with who wasn't getting anything done. And she and this other person on the project, like they had to get it all done for this girl. And then they told the boss, like, this person didn't pull their weight. And I think that's the thing that we have to get kids comfortable with saying, is being able to say, like, hey, this person in my group didn't pull their weight. Because even in group work, I grade individually. So if you're not pulling your weight, your grade suffers and the rest of your group doesn't, as long as they were doing their best. And I think,
I agree with you.
Teachers have to do that more. Is you still should grade individually, so that the kid who did all the work gets the grade, and the kids who didn't do any work get a bad grade.
I 110% agree with Sparkles. And I was thinking this, and she said, and I was just like, yes. I believe the participation, the communication is super, super important when it comes to group work. For sure. Those skills need to be exercised, especially in like the age of technology.
This is from our Teacher Needs a Drink contact page from Put Me In, Coach. I've only been a building substitute teacher or long-term substitute at the school I work in for about 4 years in a junior-senior high school. In short, I can't tell if this is standard practice or it's the case of an incompetent vice principal. I had an issue with a student on Monday, and it resulted in a behavioral referral to the office, and it explains what the student did wrong. On Thursday, the issue was finally addressed, and the VP called me on the phone and had me explain the incident again. When he does this, he puts us on speakerphone without telling us with the student in the room. That's weird. Mm-hmm. I'm very frustrated with how long it takes to address situations. We graduate about 40 a year, so the school is not big, as well as the need to be put on speakerphone. Is this standard practice everywhere? Love the podcast, as it's one of the few options a substitute can listen and not feel like other. Thank you. And we hope all of you join Put Me In, Coach, and contact us on our page. But also, that was a bonkers thing to read. Speakerphone.
Jeez.
Now, I've had a principal put me on because I've not secretly, like without me knowing, without the kid knowing, but I've sent a kid to the office and they call me like, hey, can you tell me what happened? Because they want to hear from me, because either one, my notes kind of abbreviated because I had to write it down while I'm waiting for, where I have 20 kids waiting on me, say, hey, what actually happened? And so I'll tell them on the phone. And I've had them put me on speakerphone so that the student can hear it, so they can't, make up their own thing. Because a lot of times, like, that didn't happen. I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting on my own. But I've never had anyone do it without telling me, like a secret speakerphone. That seems kind of odd, a little shady. But no, I've had a lot of times where they've called me and it's like, okay, tell us, Mr. Elvis, what actually happened in here? Not what actually, but what happened? Or Mr. or Little Tommy has a completely different say of what went on. And I'm like, no, here's what happened. And like, okay, yeah, I was full of shit. And the kid will like get meek and change their story back.
I feel like it's entrapment.
For the kid or for you?
I feel like that should not be going on, because what if you say the wrong thing? And I don't mean like say the wrong thing, like not what they, how the story goes. But like, if you think you're speaking to another adult and don't know that the child's in the room, like, and who knows, like this could also be like a parent there too.
Yeah.
And you have to choose your words carefully. And I just don't think that's fair that you should just be put on the spot like that. We need some warning, or maybe a phone call real quick. Hey, can you get your notes together? Because I want to put you on speakerphone so we can all hear together what the incident was. That's just... I
think common protocol is just to announce that now, because number one, you are 100% correct. I've had good rapport with some of my admin, and so off the record, like not with parents or kids listening, like what happened? Well, number one, the little shit was doing this again. You know how he likes to do it. And I have that conversation. It's common practice now that if someone calls me on my car phone and my kids are in there, I will say, hey, you're on my speakerphone, and like Lisa Marie's in the car, and so we're not going to start like talking about like the shots we were just downing or whatever, or say inappropriate things. We keep it above board. If you don't do that, my God, what's going to happen? Bunny, Sparkles, Shirley, who has thoughts?
Oh, I have thoughts. I think that's real shitty. I think you announce that you're on speakerphone because you run the risk of violating, that kid's HIPAA rights. What if there's somebody else in the room and you talk about how they're sped or their 504 or, something that is confidential and, you put yourself at risk professionally, and that is some horse manure.
So I want to tell you guys about this Step Bet Challenge. We've talked about it on the Patreon, but it's something that Teacher Needs a Drink is teaming up with Ludlam Dramatics and Step Bet, and we are doing this thing called the Step Bet Challenge. So the reason we're doing this is we're big proponents here of mental health, and one of the easy ways you can take baby steps towards working on your mental health is getting yourself in shape and doing just a little bit of activity or exercise a day. And how this Step Bet works is you join our Step Bet group, and for 6 weeks, you get to choose your weekly goals of what you want to accomplish. And you put a bit of money in. This bit of money is $15. And if you go the whole 6 weeks and meet your Step Bet challenge every single week, you get your $15 back. But even better, you get a split of anyone who did not meet their goals. So let's say I slip and I go to Dairy Queen and I quit hitting my goals. They're all step goals, like how many steps you get. Dairy Queen has nothing to do with it. But I go to get so many steps every day and I miss it, I'm out. But the $15 that I put in gets put in the pool, so the people who do hit their step goal get a cut of that. It's not so much a bet as it is more of a challenge to yourself, because my goals will be completely different from Bunny's goals, from Lucille's goals, from Sparkle's goals, and I'm the only one who has to hit my goal. But we're all in it together, and we can all hold ourselves accountable. So starting March 8th, if you download the Step Bet app and you use the code TEACHER, you can find the Teacher Needs a Drink Step Bet Challenge. And for $15, which is cheaper than anything else on there, you get to join the pool, and we'll all be on there. We'll be doing Teacher Needs a Drink swag giveaways weekly through that. And you get a chance to, get a little bit of money and keep yourself motivated just to hit your step goal every single day. It's really cool, and I recommend you check it out. It starts March 8th, but you have that whole week to sign up, or you can do it now. And it's awesome. So let's go. Woohoo. When you're ready, Bunny.
All right. I don't know if ready is the right word for this, but here we go. This is from Reddit user Meg da Pickle. Our outdoor classroom pet was a hawk's lunch, and now I have to tell the kids.
Oh, no.
We got permission to put a bird feeder outside our window. A pheasant found it and made her home nearby. She didn't fly, so we thought she used to be kept by someone nearby. We saw her every day. We looked for her. We left her piles of seed in special places, and she guarded it. I was getting close to feeding her by hand. Smokey the Bandit was almost our mascot. Almost. Now I have to tell them and explain that maybe our feeding her made for predictable behavior that a hawk capitalized on. I teach students with disabilities, but we are in middle school. 2 of my students cry when they watch videos of animals dying. Me too. So I do have to do this carefully. Thoughts/advice is appreciated. I'm a planner by nature, but I haven't thought this conversation through yet. One of my aides saw a post on our town's community page that photographed the hawk over her dead body right outside my classroom. Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
So
I would be traumatized.
I am traumatized.
I am giggling. Lucille, how would you handle this conversation?
I'm saying what I would probably do. If I can get away with lying about it, I will. Because, everybody needs to find their new home. And, you can't hold a wild animal down and this and that and whatever. And, animals have to seek out their best life kind of thing and just lie.
I think that might be my go-to as well, because some conversations you just don't want to have. But I mean, I find it funny. I don't find animals getting killed funny. I don't sit and giggle over like National Geographic. But this situation, something about class pets.
I love animals more than people. People suck. I would 100% lie to them and be like, I don't know what happened, guys. I guess I found a new home. I would lie my ass off.
I feel for this teacher because I would also struggle with what to say to my kids. I also tend to be a very honest person by default. I have been told that I am too honest in the past, and it is actually a character flaw. I would tell the children, but I don't know how I would tell them. I'm really struggling here because I feel awful.
Bunny, do you have any thoughts on this?
Man, I don't know. I think I would do some light lying / plausible deniability. Like, you know, I don't know where he went. Like, I technically did not see it happen. So, like, I don't know. And maybe we just happened to do a lesson about food webs the next week.
Hey guys, guess what? We have a Patreon.
A Patreon? What?
That's like OnlyFans.
I don't believe you.
We have a Patreon, and for as little as $5, you get access to all kinds of bonus content, exclusive episodes, interviews with the hosts, and movie reviews. In fact, we're happy to announce that this month, the month of March, we will have an exclusive Teacher Needs a Drink movie review of Mean Girls. It's the one that won our contest. We put it up, a whole thing up to all of the patrons, and a good 40% of them voted, and most of them voted for Mean Girls. So that's the one we are going to be doing. So
I'm
within the next few weeks, we're going to watch it. We're going to record an episode that's just about Mean Girls, but we're also going to do extra exclusive episodes that are just for it, as well as bonus clips behind the scenes, and also get to hear about stuff like the step bet before it happens weeks in advance. So sign up now. It's only $5. You will love it. Do it now. Do it now.
It sounds fetch.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
At some unknown point within the next 6 months, you will be trapped in an elevator for 12 hours. A service alarm periodically emits a brief, high-pitched noise, so sleeping is impossible. Would you rather be trapped with a person or with an unusually large, moderate, affectionate, slightly rambunctious dog?
Dog all day, every day.
Dog.
Some random point in the next 6 months, you'll be trapped for 12 hours. Big, crazy dog or unknown person?
Dog.
Dog all the way.
I'm going to have to go with the dog because the dog probably won't murder me, but people can.
Do you think people who are stuck with you for 12 hours are going to murder you?
I don't like strangers, Elvis.
What are you going to do to make them want to murder you?
No, all strangers are potential murderers, Elvis. I don't think you understand. I watch a lot of true crime, okay?
I think one of the benefits of it being a dog, if you go that route, is like if you have to go to the bathroom, you could blame it on them. Like, yeah, that dog pissed all over the corner right there. It surely wasn't me.
Go start a pee corner.
Exactly. And dogs follow that. They'd be down. And if it's like a cuddly dog, that could be fun. It could be a distraction unless it's like a mean dog. I like this. I like the dog. I say we get trapped in an elevator with a dog for 12 hours.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down.
All right, friends, thanks for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I'd like to thank my hosts who are with me today, Miss Lucille Lane.
Thanks for having me.
Also, Miss Bunny O'Hare, it was wonderful having you.
It was a pleasure as always.
Mrs. Sparkles, it was a joy to hear your opinions on things.
I love to share my opinions.
As long as they don't get you murdered. And last but not least, Miss Shirley Temper.
If you try and ignore your sadness, it just ends up leaking out of you anyway. I've been there, and everyone's been there. So don't fight it. In the words of a very wise and tired Bed Bath & Beyond employee I once knew, go ahead and cry all you want, but you're going to have to pay for that toilet plunger.
All right, my friends, please, if you get a chance, check out the Step Bet app and use the code TEACHER to join our Teacher Needs a Drink Step app, and you can join us in getting in shape and getting motivated and starting some good habits for the next 6 weeks. It will be awesome. That's right, the code TEACHER, or join our Patreon. I don't know. Either way, put the oxygen mask on yourself before tending to others. Everybody, deep breath, deep drinks. Cheers! Woo! Yay! All right, my friends, thanks for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. Teacher Needs a Drink podcast comes out every Wednesday and is sponsored by Lud Lamb Dramatics. That's right, if you need theater posters because you're a theater teacher or a language arts teacher and you got to do a lot of plays, go to Lud Lamb Dramatics. They have all kinds of wonderful resources for you. Also, if you have something you'd like to share with Teacher Needs a Drink podcast, please hit us up on the contact page of our website, teacherneedsadrink.com. teacherneedsabdrinkpodcast.com. I'd like to thank my hosts who were with me today, Miss Lucille Lane, Miss Sparkles, Miss Bunny O'Hare, and Miss Shirley Temper. I'd also like you guys to remember, if you can get a chance, check out our Step Bet Challenge. Download the Step Bet app and use the code TEACHER to join it. For $15, you can win a lot of money and get some great motivational things going on, and you get your money back. It's awesome. All right, my friends, make sure you're taking care of yourselves. Next week is episode 75. I don't really have anything planned for that, but you know. Okay, guys, take care of yourselves. I'm dying now. Oh yeah, one last thing. If you do get a chance, please tell someone in your building what you heard on Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. It's the easiest way to spread the word. Now I'm out of here. Thanks, friends. Have a great week. I'm going to take a second, and I just realized even though my camera is off, my little camera recording light is on, which means they're still like taking my data. And I'm just one of those paranoid people where I don't like people taking video of me when I don't want to. So I'm just
your FBI agent needs to check on you. Calm down.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they don't need to see that. There we go. Now they can't see me. I'm going to forget about that next time I have like a Zoom meeting, though. Like, we can't see you. I'm like, oh, it's because my tape's there.